So the Democrats went out. So we've covered on this show a lot, especially recently, that the Democrats have a real problem with a particular demographic, specifically young men. Young men have been a massive problem for the Democrats as of recently, and they see it as a problem as well. You know, we saw after the election, they went out and they said, we need to find our own Joe Rogan. Well, you had your own Joe Rogan. His name was Joe Rogan. And you ran him off because he wouldn't bend the knee on all of your retarded policies. So then he saw people, which happens so often, specifically to men on the left. He saw some folks on the right who were a little bit more sympathetic to him. And while he didn't agree with them on necessarily everything or even most things, they were willing to hear him out. And he was willing to hear them out. And when they caught his ear, he realized that a lot of what they were saying actually made sense and wasn't coming from the point that he had been told it was, and that's why he drifted further and further to the right. It wasn't a grift. It was simply a result of you guys eating your own and running your most influential members off as your tone-deaf idiots. So the Democrats saw this problem they had with young men, and they went out and they dropped $20 million. $20 million on a new movement called SAM. Speaking with American Men is what it's called, SAM. It promises an investment to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. So here's how I know this is going to fail, right? Here's how I know this is already going to fail. Because they're trying to use a study to get to men. Young men don't give a damn about stuff. Don't you love how they're paying millions of dollars to study us? Like they're the fucking crocodile hunter. Or it's like National Geographic. And they're out studying us like we're some animal in the wild that they just can't comprehend our ecosystem and how we work. How is this so foreign to them? So foreign. I mean, I'm not a woman. Right? I'm not, obviously. I know there's some people that might say I can identify as whatever I want. I'm not a woman, but I at least somewhat... I'm a man! That's a good one. I at least somewhat understand how the female brain works. Do I not? I do okay. I don't say things like... I don't just do egregious stereotypes like you see the Democrats do toward men because they spent $20 million on this study. And their big takeaway from this was that they need to spend more ads on video games. More money in video game ads to reach young men. So they still don't get it. They still don't get it. There it is. You cracked the code. You cracked the code. $20 million. It took you. And you still couldn't figure it out. Maybe another $20 million will get you the right answer. I'm not going to tell you guys the right answer. I'm not even going to tell you. Because my audience that's listening to me, because I'm done giving free game to the enemy. I really am. My audience that's listening to me, that enjoys this content, they already know the answer. They know what you guys need to do, or at least some semblance of what you guys need to do to reach more young men. I'm not giving you the answer anymore. I'm done giving you the answers to the test. We're not doing this. So, $20 million. They learned that they didn't do anything wrong in the last election, more or less. So, because that's what they did, was they tried to have Tim Walz appeal to men by playing Madden with AOC. And then he said something about she can run a mean pick six. A pick six isn't a play you run, you fucking idiot. You out of touch dipshit. I can't get this to work here. I was trying to pull the whole article up so I could read it, but it was more or less the same stuff there. But so the Democrats finally learned that they can appeal to young men through video game ads. I think they should throw some ads on Pornhub too. Because that's what they reduced us to in the last election when they were trying to appeal to men was video games, porn, and weed. And then they tried to like shoehorn abortion in there too and be like, hey, we don't want you guys to have to claim responsibility for your actions, so you fuck some chick raw and get her knocked up. The Republicans aren't going to let you ejectocito on that. You know, if the Democrats are going to make porn a central part of their campaign and their platform, can we at least get AOC on OnlyFans? Can we get that trade-off at least? I mean, I'm not going to subscribe, but it'll get leaked somewhere. I'll be able to see it, right? I just want to see it. Maybe we could do that. Maybe that's how she'll fundraise for her presidential campaign in 28. What do you think? Yeah, unconventional method.
That's one way to get.
She'd get a lot of Republican men to donate money. A lot of Republican men to donate money. That's all I'm saying. It'd be a bipartisan fundraising effort. They may not vote for her, but they'd send her money. There was a libertarian who ran for some weird office in Florida that fundraised for her account on OnlyFans.
What's next? Requiring a license to make toast in your own damn toaster?
No, that we've needed those for a long time. Long time. There's some of you that I genuinely believe are too stupid to make toast in your own damn toaster. It's hilarious though. It's hilarious. The Democrats saying, or actually no, play this video of Olivia Giuliana, the 450-pound whale Twitter slacktivist, is she's going to be their spearhead on the relating to men initiative here. Go ahead, check this out.
The reason why Republican messaging resonates
That's
with
not
men
her.
is because men want bad things.
No, you can play. No, you can play. That was she'll be on in a second.
Oh, okay.
The reason why
No, I was just
Republican messaging resonates with men is because men want bad things, right? It's like men want to have sex and like own women, right? Like they want to dominate everybody. And Republicans say, you get to do that. And then Democrats can't say that. So we just lost men. It's over, right? Like, what are you talking about? Like a lot of times it will be men that are liberals who will like agree with that shit. I'm like, dude, what is going on? Like there's a lot of men that don't think that way, obviously. And it's just such a negative view to take on like half of the human race.
Well, I also think it's just so abundantly clear that the people who say these things don't actually spend time talking to young men. You know this because we know each other in real life, but I spend a lot of time on college campuses, and I spend a lot of time with
young men.
I love young men.
Almost as much as Tim Walz.
Frat guys. And in that, I realized, like, even the ones that identify as conservative are almost always pro-choice. They're almost always pro-gay marriage. You'd be surprised at the number of them who supported Black Lives Matter. And so I feel like people just kind of lump them into this box when the truth is, again, a lot of them are with us on the issues. They're just not part of our coalition because they feel like they're not welcomed in it.
So they're conservative young men. They love the LGBTQ community. They love the BLM. They love the abortion. Sweetheart. Can I call you sweetheart? I'm going to call you sweetheart. That is the oldest trick in the book among conservative men. It's called libertarian to get laid. They'll pretend they could never call themselves a liberal because it would make them physically ill to say that. They want low taxes. They want to be able to own guns. Right, so they fall in line with conservatives on those issues. They like weed, but all college kids like weed. They don't really care about abortion because they don't have the worldview shape to where that's an issue that is really going to bother them. And they don't really care about the LGBTQ community because, again, it really doesn't affect them. They haven't seen a lot of how egregious some of the alphabet community, not gay people getting married, I'm talking some of the other letters get. So they will pretend that they're with women on those issues to sleep with them, when in reality, they're not pro-choice. They're not pro-LGBTQ. They're not pro-BLM. They just don't give a damn about them yet because they're not issues that really pop up at that point in your life. You got too much you're thinking about, right? They don't care. But if it means they can get a date, if it means they can get laid, they're going to tell you they agree with you. They're not actually on your side. And the fact that this woman that's built like, the fourth string offensive guard on a junior varsity high school team is her and Tim Walz are the ones they've got spearheading this initiative, tells me they're never going to understand what they're doing wrong. I mean, look no further than this ad they aired during the election. It's not the porn ad. I don't want to creep you guys out. Remember this one? Mia thought this was a fucking SNL sketch.
I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm a man, man.
And I'm man enough.
I'm man enough to enjoy a barrel-proof bourbon.
Neat.
Man enough to cook my steak rare.
Man enough to deadlift 500, then braid the out of my daughter's
I cannot
hair.
deadlift.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast. I ain't afraid of bears.
That's what bear hugs are for.
I'll tell you another thing I sure as shit am not afraid of.
We know that last guy loved bears.
I'm not afraid of women.
I'm not afraid of women.
They want to control their bodies? I say go for it.
They want to use IVF to start a
Crazy
family?
homeless guy.
I'm not afraid of families.
They want to be childless cat ladies?
Have all the cats you want.
Woman wants to be president?
Well, I hope she has the guts to look me right in
Look at
the
how he's
eye
sitting.
and accept my full-throated endorsement.
Because I'm man enough to support women.
Man enough to know what kind of
All right, we get it. That's
Man
enough.
enough to
Everyone
admit
saw
I'm
this
wrong.
ad. We played it ad nauseum. It might have been the worst ad in the history of American politics. But again, those guys in Tim Walz are the devil. Because it's like I tell you guys all the time. We understand people have different viewpoints. We have to understand that people have different perspectives than us. People see the world from a different lens, right? There's a different angle they look at things. And that's why they come to the conclusions they do. In their mind, that was not meant to mock you as a man. Tim Walz was not meant to insult you when they picked him. In their minds, Tim Walz and the goofballs you saw in that fucking joke of an ad are genuinely what the average middle-class Midwestern American is like. They genuinely believe that. That's what we have to understand. That's how out of touch these people are. That they truly thought we were going to relate to that. They hired these guys, they shot the ad, and they went, this is great. And it blew up in their faces. I mean, there was rumor that Carville blew, right before that ad leaked, that James Carville blew up on a bunch of Kamala staffers, called them a bunch of out-of-touch faggots and Gen Z losers. And to the point people were in literal tears on this conference call because of an ad they showed him that they were super proud of. Something tells me it was that ad. And you know what? If I was trying to win an election and somebody that was working under me showed me that, I'd call him a faggot too. Mind you, this is what CNN said back during the election. Check this out. It just shows how out of touch they are. Let's do a little throwback here. Sure, why not?
Very different female candidates, but they are doing so in trying to put forward male figures, Tim Walz being one of them, Doug Emhoff last night.
Oh, yeah.
Who can speak to men out there who might not be the sort of testosterone-laden, gun-toting kind of guy who wants to listen to Hulk Hogan and the kind of
Okay, that's enough.
players that came out of the RNC.
So there you go. They said it right there. Tim Walz and Doug Emhoff were selected to target men with low testosterone. That's what they just said. That's what they had in mind. Pussy bleeding little bitches. So you could go with her take on that they intentionally didn't want to attract men who were masculine, which, you know what? If you want to write off 80% of men, then go ahead and do it. Or you can go with my take, which is that they're so out of touch, they genuinely believe Tim Walz, Doug Emhoff, and the clowns in that video are man's men. You can pick. I mean, they're both horrible if you're the Democrats. Horrible. And I'm not going to tell you the answer because, like I said, my audience already knows it, and we're not going to give you the answer key to the test here. I'm not going to tell you the answer to winning men back. What I will tell you is why you've gotten where you are. And that in a lot of cases, it's probably too late. Are you coming back? In a lot of cases, it's probably too late. Because you took this group of people, men, heterosexual men, heterosexual white men in some cases. But in a lot of cases, you didn't really narrow it. You didn't specify along racial lines. But you took this group of people, heterosexual men, and demonized them for decades. Through the school system, through the media, through corporations, from, the political pulpit. You beat it into their heads from the moment they started grade school that there was something inherently wrong with being a man. You told them that their masculinity was toxic. You ran ads like that Gillette ad, which, by the way, I don't believe in. I think boycotts, for the most part, are a waste of time. I will not spend money at a company that openly disdains me. It's one of the few companies I still boycott to this day is Gillette and Ben & Jerry's. You told them that all men were potential predators, rapists, or abusers simply because they were men. That was a go-to feminist narrative in the 2010s. I remember it. Don't sit here and lie and tell me it didn't happen. You're on tribunal right now. You don't get to deny the things we all know you said. You made quotes like, "The future is female," implying that we had nothing to do with the future. Not the future, not female should be part of the future. Nothing. No, the future was female. So we were out of the picture in your ideal of the future. And yes, while it may have been wrong that in the past men excluded women, what you should have done is learn from the past and said, hey, how about we work together for the future? The future is equality, true equality, not your bullshit version of it. The future is equality, where we can coexist as men and women and have our, appropriate gender roles while still taking input from women. But no, you didn't learn from the past. You instead, like when Isildur could have tossed the ring into the fires in Mount Doom. Instead of learning from the past mistakes in this country, you decided to repeat them. Instead of bridging a divide when we had a chance, when everyone was all equal and happy with each other in the 90s and 2000s, you decided to go for revenge. Revenge for something that happened when, let's be honest, a lot of you weren't even alive. You beat it into men's heads for decades. Decades. Believe all women. And told men that if they were falsely accused, which happens a lot. We've had people on this show that we have all but proven were falsely accused. But you told men that even if they were falsely accused, that was a price you were willing to pay to get justice for women who'd been hurt. And by the way, we should get justice for women who had been hurt, but not at the expense of innocent parties. You were willing to accept innocent men's lives who pissed off an ex-girlfriend or whatever, or some girl wanted to get ahead at her job or whatever the case may be. You were willing to sacrifice their lives and view them as collateral damage if it meant you got your end goal. Because let's be honest, the believe all women thing wasn't really about believing women. For a lot of feminists out there, there was a sick sense of pleasure that they got knowing that, well, yes, they would be able to help some real victims from this. They'd also be able to hurt some innocent men in the process. That was a big part of it for them. So when the Democrats come out and they run studies saying, how do we win back a group that we've spent the last 2 decades demonizing and talking about like they're these wild, untamed animals who shouldn't even be allowed in polite society? It's kind of like if it was like the 1940s and the German Nazi Party went, how do we relate to the Jews more? We're really struggling with these Jewish voters. How do we get more Jews to vote for us? Now, obviously, that's an extreme example, and I'm exaggerating intentionally to drive the point home, but you get what I'm saying. And as a conservative, I'm not conservative on every issue, but I am conservative. I vote Republican more often than I don't. It brings me peace to know that of the two genders, the Democrats are continuing to struggle to comprehend the least complicated of them. Let's be honest. Men are more than porn, weed, and video games, and slacking off on our responsibilities as fathers. Because those are the four pillars of masculinity, if you ask the Democrats. While we are more than those things, we're really not all that complicated. If we have a problem with you, we'll tell you what it is. We don't beat around the bush. We don't wait for you to figure out what that problem is. We'll tell you what it is. Except right now, I'm not going to tell you what the answer is to your problem, because I think it's funny to watch you guys squirm and waste your money and time on it. We're not all that difficult to understand. It seems to me that the Democrat Party is willing to do anything and everything, whether it be spending tens of millions of dollars on an initiative, running all these expensive surveys, hiring these outside big shot consultants from DC and Hollywood and New York and all these places, hiring actors, running all these ads, bringing in politicians. The Democratic Party is willing to do anything and everything to learn what it takes to relate to the average male voter, except actually having conversations with these average male voters. They won't do it. And that's why they're going to continue to lose, and that brings me great pleasure.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to click the link in the description to get the full episode on Rumble. If you prefer to listen along, you could actually get us on Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio. You can also go to www.outlawstreamers.com to learn more about not just my show, but tons of other great shows and all the exciting projects they have coming up. Follow my socials at Caleb Isn't Funny on Twitter and Instagram, at Caleb Salvatore Comedy on the Chinese Spy app that is TikTok, and be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks, and we'll see you every Saturday for brand new episodes of That's Based. Peace.